Alrighty. You know, there was something I was thinking about, and while watching my friend Elliot's stream, he mentioned it, and it made me think about all these fighting games are getting great netcode, and while we needed it, we still need it. I won't say that any game should come out with bad netcode. We need it because a lot of people don't leave their house to play fighting games. A lot of people, especially during the COVID era, when COVID was very big and we had lockdown restrictions all over the world, we needed a way to play our favorite games without having to meet each other, right? And in fighting game community and even in card games, similarly, people are used to meeting to play video games together or to play the game together, whether that be offline IRL Yu-Gi-Oh without a digital simulator of some kind, or fighting games neck and neck, head to head with an arcade stick, pad, or hitbox alike. They got me thinking, with all these games finally getting good netcode, music is a little too loud, we'll turn it down. And it got me thinking, with all these games getting significantly better netcode, rollback netcode finally becoming the standard of fighting games, is that killing small locals for fighting games? There's upsides and there's downsides to literally every good thing that comes out of the world, right? There's no way that I will ever in any way suggest that it is a bad thing for games to have better netcode, but that better netcode makes it so that now people don't really feasibly have to leave their house to play each other and get good offline games. Now, when people say it feels just like offline, for the most part, they mean it, right? You can play anyone from your city, anyone from the surrounding area, and maybe even further away with really good netcode without having to deal with tons and tons of delay packed on, ruining the experience. At the same time, that means now you're less likely to want to go out and hang out for 3 hours and play fighting games offline with friends when you could just do it right here. You could be in my stream right now. You could have my stream tabbed up on another monitor while on your main monitor playing fighting games. It probably wouldn't even ruin your experience. My stream's not very intensive, don't worry. It's like, 37,000, 35,000 kilobytes per second. People aren't going to locals because they can play online. We're gonna want to go to locals anyway. That's not entirely true, because the people I know that ask about locals still, not even here, just in my city, just in general, are the ones who have games with bad online. Like, I see a lot of people still ask about Virtua Fighter 5 all over Texas, right? All over. I guess you could even say this is probably more a small scene thing than a big scene thing. But Virtua Fighter, Tekken, Street Fighter 5, games like that don't have the greatest of netcode, a lot of people do still want to go out and play these games offline because of the fact that the games aren't as polished online as they are offline, right? And I don't, it's not the only factor, but it is probably one of the big factors that contributes to a lot of local shrinking. A lot of locals have shrunk, and people are just saying, oh, it was COVID. A lot of people stopped playing fighting games because of COVID. No, a lot of people started playing video games overall in general because of COVID. Actually, COVID made a lot of people game more frequently, make all sorts of excuses not to go to local, sure, but that doesn't mean that it's not specifically a factor. Good online gives them more of an excuse. We don't know that they weren't going to go anyway. We have zero clue. Because like I said, I have people who ask me like, hey, do you know if like Houston has a local scene for this game? And I'm like, zero clue, because they play that game and they're like, man, this game has doo-doo butter, dog water, ass butter netcode, and they want to play offline because it feels better. But if it feels just as good online, you're right, they have an excuse to stay home. They have to go nowhere to continue to play their favorite game. They can play it in their PJs, they can play it with their dogs and cats running around having a good time, they can play it while they're cooking dinner, they can play it while enjoying a box of pizza with no one to tell them they can't. No one to tell them, hey, you got your greasy hands all over my arcade stick. Not to mention the compatibility of being able to play not only whatever game you want online, because most games, it's becoming more standard that we have rollback netcode for all of these titles. We also have more controller compatibility, right? Most people have also moved to PC, where you can basically use whatever controller you want, bar it not having a USB port right? A USB-A connector. You can basically use a DualShock 3, DualShock 4, Xbox 360, Xbox One, Xbox Series controller, Switch controller, Wii U controller, Switch Pro controller, arcade stick, hitbox, mixbox, keyboard. There is so many different ways that you can experience these fighting games. And say you know your locals is PS4 only. The dreaded console, dreaded piece of shit 4. And you have an Xbox arcade stick because you bought an Xbox arcade stick because it was the cheapest, nice, brand new arcade stick that was out at the time, and you play on PC anyway, so it didn't matter that you got this. And then you go to your locals, and your locals is all PS4. Well, you can shell out another $40 for one of these. Little Brooks adapter that allows Xbox controllers to work on PlayStation. Unless you do that, how are you supposed to play? But you know what doesn't cause you that grief is plugging this into your native PC right in front of you and continuing to play the game the way you always have, with just as good responsiveness online now. While I don't think that rollback is the inherent cause of a lot of people not going to locals, a lot of people who used to go to locals very frequently, I don't think it's the leading cause. I do think that it is a big part of the pie that leads to people wanting to stay home more, whether that be, you know, a lot of things becoming easier to do, like even getting food from home because of Uber, DoorDash, Favor, whatever they are, right? All of those things, being able to get food easier from home, being able to stay home and play video games easier because these games have better netcode. People just getting older and having lives and not wanting to have to get babysitters because they've got kids now and they can't take their kids to locals with them. They're still not old enough, right? They'd be too loud, rambunctious, and obnoxious. Rollback netcode in no way, shape, or form is a bad thing, but it may have had unintended consequences leading to less people going up for small locals. May have, right? It's not entirely the case because there's so many factors. It's just like saying, why don't people play this certain fighting game? Well, because it sucks. No, maybe there's a big group of factors all culminating together, like stirring in a big pot that lead to that sort of feeling about the game. Just like people feel that locals are dying. We've had the same local scene here for like the past 2 years. We've had like 1 or 2 new faces show up every now and then, right? But for the most part, everyone who shows up has been one of the people who's been showing up since 2018, 2019. We haven't really had anyone new. And that started right after the COVID era, right? When a lot of the games that we played, we started shifting out. There's not really a lot of Tekken players that are locals anymore. They stopped showing up. Their game doesn't have great netcode, but they think it does. Most of our players are anime players, actually. And most of the modern anime fighters have good netcode. They still show up, you know, but our local scene isn't very big where I live. But I have noticed that there is not an influx of new players because, hey, maybe these new players have that same sentiment in mind. Why would I go out and play fighting games with random people for like a few hours out of the day? Or why would I go out and spend money to play fighting games when I can do it at home here for free with good and responsive online? I'm glad we have all these technological advancements, but I'm hoping that maybe, just maybe, that they coexist with each other, the technological advancements and the grassroots feeling of the FGC. Hopefully they coexist with each other instead of colliding with each other, because I do think that what's the incentive to go out and play fighting games if your game has good online? There's not really a lot of incentive there. And because of that, I can see how other people think it too. Anyways, just a quick talk segment, little rant, little discussion, make you think about it, right? Even if you don't entirely agree, or if you completely agree, leave a comment down below on the video. Hey, this is of course for the YouTubes. It's Beanie Thuggish. I'm back making videos, hopefully more talk segments, because that's what we're going to be doing, unless you guys want to see Rumbleverse matches. But if you want to see Rumbleverse matches, come by to the stream. Otherwise, like the video, leave a comment, subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. And this is Beanie Thuggish talking about the unintended consequences of rollback netcode. Signing out and saying peace.